Murata doesn't have to go into the ring with him.
You're going to see that Chavez is going to drill a lot of right hands home.
As he just did.
The right hand and the left hook are the most effective punches against the southpaw because of the way southpaw keeps his hands. Basically, the southpaw continues to move to his right, so it's difficult for you to gain proper leverage in your punches.
If you have not seen Chavez before, one of the first things you'll notice is that he does not waste punches. He doesn't throw for the sake of throwing. He throws when he thinks he can get inside and do damage.
I think the early rounds going to be problems for Chavez unless he's able to hurt his man. You see with Aguilar, very quick hands, awkward because of his style. And he's tall, he's rangy. Now see, this is where Aguilar would probably make a mistake when he tried to exchange punch for punch. Chavez is a much deadlier puncher.
For the moment, Aguilar doesn't appear to be frightened of Chavez, as he has been willing, as you say, Ray, to exchange punch for punch. Right hand got through the defense under the neck of Aguilar.
Good defense from Chavez. Keeps those hands very high. But Jim, again, watch for the right hand, left hook.
Chavez is focusing his eyes on a point at the middle of Aguilar's chest. And so far, he's landed the right 3 times there. Good left hand there by Aguilar to the point of Chavez's chin. Again, the right hand gets through.
Hunter, get out. Don't hold. Don't hold. Break.
Now this is what frustrates fighters by fighting southpaw, especially if a guy has good hand speed. And this is what Aguilar is doing. He's staying busy. Not really a big punch here.
Chavez goes to the uppercut 3 times. Didn't really land with any of them. There the right hand scores again.
See, it's tough for Chavez to get set. There seems to be a cut over the left eye, maybe mistaken, or slight abrasion.
There's blood over the left eye of Chavez. Again, the right hand gets through, and again, Aguilar goes down. 4, straight 5, right hands. 6, 7. Close to the end of the round. And that's it. So in the final 15 seconds of round 1, Julio César Chávez made his presence felt with the right hand.
Well, we said he had to look impressive, and he certainly looked impressive. Let's go to Tito Alba, our interpreter, to find out what's going on in the corner of the challenger.
Lo tenés cortado en una ceja, lo tenés cortado. Moviendo.
¿Cómo te sientes bien?
Obviously, there's a knockdown, a clean right hand. He landed several clean shots during the round. There's a second one. And obviously, Aguilar was still shaken midway through the rest period.
Almost all of the damage done in round 1 by the straight right hand of Julio César Chávez. Aguilar begins round 2 backing up. Still doesn't look entirely certain of himself.
Chavez feels that he can get in more punches by becoming more aggressive, and that is so true. Just rushing himself, but he has to be careful because you see these punches that are being thrown, they have a tendency to bruise and cut. Chavez is really starting to get a little over anxious.
Yeah, he's taking a little bit more than he needs to get inside, but there again the right landed and backed Aguilar up. Chavez wipes the blood from his own eye and looks at it on his glove. Julio César Chávez has only been cut once before.
Chavez can't just stand there and take those punches like that. Although Aguilar is not really a big puncher.
Yeah, and he takes a punch pretty well. And he took what Edwin Rosario had to offer, and Rosario may be the hardest puncher in the lightweight division.
But what's happening here, Jim, is in fact Aguilar scoring points.
Ray, do you feel that Chavez feels some urgency about this situation because he knows he does have some blood, or even if it isn't serious?
I see a sign of frustration in the eyes of Chavez because normally he's a much more composed fighter. He takes his time and he's able to put his punches together. Here against the southpaw, he's having major problems here.
Well, one of the things which is said of Chavez by those who have seen him a lot is that he will take his time and be patient unless you hurt him and make him mad.
I was expecting more body shots from Chavez to bring those hands down with Aguilar, to slow that movement down with Aguilar.
One sign of anxiety is that Chavez, for a moment there, was chasing Aguilar around the ring rather than cutting the ring off on him, something he does so well.
For Chavez, he needs to throw combinations and stop trying to load up with one punch, and that's what he's doing here.
Fewer than 30 seconds to go in round two, as you can see.
This is not really a good round for Chavez.
No, a pattern of frustration beginning to develop here for Chavez.
He just did bloody Aguilar's nose with a left hook.
Round two comes to a close. Chavez continuing to deal out punishment, but perhaps not at the rate he might most prefer. And now we go to Chavez's corner.
I thought Aguilar made a good comeback in that round, considering what happened to him at the end of the previous round.
Okay, keep on fighting. You're doing very well. Now, keep on fighting with two hands. Always go upstairs. We are going to win this fight. Left hook, left hook and right. Left hook and right. It's already done. No more problem here. Let's get it work. Let's get to work. Left hook, always left hook.
Here's Chavez burring in again and landing a good solid right on the mouth and backing up Aguilar. Well, Aguilar did come to fight, and although he may not win this one, he's showing his manager that he's willing to stand in there with a man who's regarded as one of the best fighters in the world.
You see the names of the fighters and the colors of the trunks which identify them in this WBA World Lightweight Championship bout. First of a doubleheader here from the Las Vegas Hilton on HBO.
You notice that Chavez is starting to reach in with his punches, starting to really become over anxious, not really setting his man up. The jab would do that also to get closer. And for a guy that's this tall, a southpaw, makes it quite difficult. It's not an easy task.
Perhaps Chavez has not been as disciplined about going to the body in the last round and a half as we would customarily expect from him. A lot of head hunting.
That's the key, because this guy's so tall and rangy, and he's throwing these overhand rights and left, and he's giving Chavez a different look. The body shots will slow all that down.
Hold it. Once you get out.
Certainly Aguilar has taken the worst of it so far, but by the same token, he seems to be gaining confidence with each passing minute.
There is definitely frustration in the eyes of Chavez. I know he's dropped his hands. Again, Aguilar's not really a big puncher, but his punches do sting.
And he's starting to find avenues through which to land them, Ray. A couple of right hands to the side of Chavez's head moments ago. Another great right by Chavez. Straight up the middle.
The difference we have with both fighters is the fact that although Chavez is throwing the heavier punches, Aguilar is throwing combinations.
Punch and get out. Punch and get out. Great.
Chavez landed twice to the head during the clinch before Richard Steele could pull them apart.
A couple low blows by both fighters.
And Aguilar becoming increasingly more active as the third round moves along. In the final 30 seconds of round 3 of this first of 2 World Championship bouts. Waiting in their dressing rooms, Marlon Starling, the WBA welterweight champ, and Mark Freeland in the role of challenger. And as round 3 ends, Chavez continues to stalk an increasingly more self-possessed #1 challenger Rodolfo Aguilar. And
there's Marlon Starling. Very self-possessed fellow.
How you like me now?
A man who had to believe in himself because not too many other people did.
Se está cansando, está abriendo la boca como loco.
He is getting tired. He's opening his mouth like crazy. He is.
Está bien de pierna y todo.
You have to keep on moving. How's your legs? Okay, some Vaseline. Some Vaseline. The legs are okay? Okay.
Agua.
Water.
Vamos.
More water.
Vamos, moviendo.
Okay, move it. Jab, please.
If you had taken 3-to-1 odds that you could get here in the legal bookmakers, that the fight would have ended by the end of the 3rd round, you would have lost your money. It's even money if the fight doesn't go past 6 rounds.
You saw in the corner the tiny cut on the left eyelid of Aguilar, which now ranks as a target for Chavez, but Aguilar lands twice in close. Good left by Chavez in that exchange, but he took one in return.
You'll notice when Chavez attempts to throw his right hand, he brings that right foot up. And those are the type of problems that southpaw presents. Because again, it doesn't enable you to get proper leverage behind your punches. Aguilar's doing a good job here with his combinations.
Chavez now back to concentrating on the body, but having more difficulty getting through than was the case in round 1. The straight right lands again.
Believe it or not, the best punch that I found effective on southpaw is not with a straight right hand, but a looping right hand, because it goes inside of the gloves.
Now there's blood coming from the nose of Aguilar as well as from above his left eye.
That's the right hand there that Chavez threw. But again, Jim, he needs to throw combinations. Chavez needs to throw more punches. Put them in bunches. There's the right hand again.
And the looping right hand that you suggested landed that time. Increasingly, Chavez looks to come up underneath to get to the body.
But he has to work his way inside and be a little more composed.
Good right hand by Aguilar. Tilted Chavez for a moment. Well, certainly as we proceed toward the closing seconds of round 4, there can be no doubt in Julio César Chávez's mind that he's in against a qualified opponent.
Chavez combinations again by Aguilar. Chavez now telling him to come on in.
I thought that was a sign of frustration on Chavez's part that he would do that. Aguilar is fighting a very sophisticated fight. He's not running as most of us thought he would. He's fighting what one of his handlers called a technically punishing fight. He's trying to stay outside of Chavez's range and then jump in with those quick, long left hands. Let's go to Harold Letterman, our unofficial official, to see his scoring of the fight.
Well, thank you, Larry. I've got it 38-37 in favor of Rodolfo Aguilar in a close fight. I give Chavez an extra point for the clean knockdown in round 1. But Aguilar's doing a great job with hand speed, and I gave him the last 3 rounds because of the fact that he's landed so many punches.
I have the exact same score on my card, which means that the man we have designated as the heir apparent to the pound-for-pound championship is going to have to show us some stuff and come from behind. And if he's worthy of that title, then he will come from behind.
Chavez fairly sprints out of his corner to begin round 5. And Richard Steele says, hold on just a second.
They forgot his mouthpiece.
Yeah, he'll need that. Steele refereed Chavez's destruction of Edwin Rosario, so he has seen at close range what Julio César Chávez is capable of. So far, he hasn't seen the same kind of performance tonight, but that right hand got across the top of the guard of Rodolfo Aguilar. Aguilar landing the jab 2 or 3 times. Chavez feels constrained to have to leap in to throw the left.
Chavez is more so following Aguilar around the ring instead of cutting the ring off.
He's been chasing him since round 2, Ray.
And then doing so because of the movement of Aguilar, it's being difficult for Chavez to put his punches together. He's been loading up since round 1. Good left hook by Chavez.
And you saw that the right sent Aguilar reeling for the moment. Aguilar begins to hang on.
Aguilar did the right thing, tie his man up, but now he must move because he's still on Quill Street.
Another right hand.
Now we may see more combinations by Chavez. There's that right hand, that beautiful looping right hand.
And Aguilar's left eye is beginning to close up, Ray.
The punching of Chavez, the way he throws that looping right hand, because it comes on the blind side of his southpaw.
Aguilar won't step back. Continues to land punches, even amid his temporary distress. Chavez begins to look a little more composed again. But we near the end of round 5, and as Larry Merchant pointed out, it was even money here as to whether this bout would make it through 6 rounds.
That was a much better round for Chavez. If he had, maybe he had the habit of laying back after knocking him down in the first round. He might have relaxed a little. I think he's back into it now.
Are you tired? I'm asking you if you're tired.
Respirando fuerte, vamos.
A deep breath. Breathe deeply. Okay. Get the air out. Get the air out.
Te pones a distancia, estira el jab, por lo menos.
At distance, always throw your jab.
Let's watch as Chavez goes to work. Comes in close, the left. Always moving forward. Always moving forward.
Vamos.
So, Mr. Aguilar is proving that General Noriega isn't the only lightweight in Panama right now.
We asked Rodolfo Aguilar if he were acquainted with General Noriega, and he insisted only de periódico, solamente de newspapers. Round 6 begins, and Chavez continues to stalk at close range.
Chavez needs to be very careful about the way he plants his feet. You see, he has both feet together. It's easy to be knocked down. It doesn't matter how big or small puncher you are, because you're off balance.
Well, there's a certain arrogance in any great fighter, and you get the impression that Chavez doesn't believe Aguilar can hurt him.
Aguilar appears to be wearing down now. Those uppercuts, and a looping right hand. Look at that beautiful shot.
Aguilar looking for a place to fall after the right hand. And his corner is up on the apron. Steele looks at the corner as if to say, do you want in? And they do want in. And Richard Steele stops the fight.
A great fighter does what he has to do to look great. And after having some difficulty for a few rounds following a first round knockdown, Chavez goes to work and ends the fight sensationally.
1 minute, 13 seconds of the 6th round.
Thank you.
And Julio César Chávez runs his record officially to 57-0. So it was a fight in which there were more than a few moments of frustration for Julio César Chávez, and if he proved anything tonight, Ray, it is that he can overcome temporary frustration and go on to knock his opponent out.
Well, it was indeed frustration, and the right hand pretty much started everything. Aguilar fought a pretty good fight, but what wore Aguilar down was the inside fighting and the looping right hands. That right hand there proved to be effective against southpaw. Aguilar at this point here is out of it.
He wanted a place to fall down after Chavez landed the right hand to the temple, one of the vulnerable areas which can sometimes create a knockout. As you see this right hand land, you'll see right next to the eye on the temple, and Aguilar said, that'll do.
I'm sure that Chavez will go back and watch the tape, and he will find that the best way to fight a southpaw is to be a little more composed. The looping right hand, it's a beautiful shot.
I remember you against a southpaw named Ayub Kaluli. It wasn't your best looking performance either, but you were able to come back, dominate the late rounds, and win the fight, just as Chavez was able to do here. And here are the final punch stat computations. Chavez throwing 273 punches, landing 143 of them. You see that Aguilar was the much busier fighter, though without landing nearly as many blows. And right now, let's go up to ring announcer Chuck Hull for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 1 minute, 13 seconds of the 6th round. Referee Richard Steele stops the bout. The winner by a TKO, still undefeated, and still the WBA lightweight champion of the world, Julio César Chávez.